When people think about getting into tech, the first thing they usually hear about is coding. They hear about becoming a software developer, building apps, or learning programming languages. But there's another side in the tech industry that makes everything else possible, and that's networking. Every website you open, every video you stream, every online game you play, and every cloud service you access all rely on networks working correctly behind the scenes. And the people responsible for building and maintaining these networks are network administrators and network engineers. But today, we're going to talk about the certifications you need to become a network engineer. So if you're interested in becoming a network engineer, the first thing you're probably thinking to yourself is, what certification should I actually focus on? And that's a great question, because if you start researching online, there are a lot of different certifications that you can go after. There are some niche certifications, there are some extremely useful certifications, and some honestly won't help very much if you're just getting started. These are the certifications that build a strong technical foundation and are widely respected in the industry, and they also help you develop the skills that employers are actually looking for. Now, before we start, certifications alone will not make you a great engineer. They only help guide you with your learning. They give you structure and they help you understand the topics that you are studying for. But the real skills come from hands-on practice labs, troubleshooting, and actually working with network equipment. So think of certifications as roadmaps, not the final destination. With that said, let's start with the first certification. The first certification I recommend focusing on is the Cisco Certified Network Administrator, also known as the CCNA. The CCNA is widely considered the gold standard when it comes to entry-level networking certifications. This certification teaches you the core fundamentals of networking, things like IP addressing, subnetting, routing protocols, switching concepts, VLANs, network troubleshooting, and basic security concepts. If you truly understand the material covered in the CCNA, you will already have a strong understanding on how networks function. You'll understand how devices communicate, how traffic flows across a network, how routers make forwarding decisions, and how switches move frames from across local networks. And the reason the CCNA is so valuable is because Cisco equipment is still extremely common in enterprise environments. Even if you end up working in a network that uses multiple vendors, I promise you, the concepts you learn from the CCNA will apply almost everywhere. So if you're trying to break into networking, the CCNA is usually the certification I recommend starting with. The next certification that I recommend is the Juniper Network Certified Associate, also known as the JNCIA-Junos. One mistake a lot of network engineers make is only learning one vendor. They learn Cisco and they assume that's all they'll ever need. But in reality, that is just the surface. A lot of environments, especially NOC environments, utilize multiple vendors. Juniper is extremely common in service provider networks, data centers, and many enterprise environments. Learning Juniper helps you become what we call a multi-vendor network engineer. You begin understanding how network concepts translate in different platforms. The commands may be different, but the underlying concepts like routing, switching, interfaces, and protocols remain the same. And that kind of flexibility is very, very valuable in the industry. The next certification I recommend focusing on is the CWNA, the Certified Wireless Network Administrator. Wireless networking is one of the most overlooked areas for new engineers. A lot of people focus heavily on routers and switches, but modern networks rely heavily on wireless infrastructure. Offices, hospitals, universities, airports, stadiums, all these environments depend heavily on Wi-Fi networks. The CWNA goes much deeper into wireless networking than most other certifications. It covers topics like RF fundamentals, wireless standards, interference, signal propagation, wireless security, and wireless network design. Understanding how wireless networks operate gives you an edge because many engineers never take the time to understand or learn the RF side of networking. When something goes wrong with Wi-Fi, troubleshooting often requires a completely different way of thinking compared to traditional wired networking. So the CWNA is a fantastic certification to add to your skill set. Next up is the CompTIA Security Plus. Security is now a core part of networking. It doesn't matter if you're working in an enterprise environment, cloud environments, or government environments. Security knowledge is extremely important. Security Plus introduces you to cybersecurity fundamentals like encryption, authentication, risk management, network security controls, and security best practices. It is also one of the most widely recognized security certifications for entry-level professionals. And in many government or defense-related roles, Security Plus is actually required for compliance purposes. So the Security Plus can open the door to many opportunities in secure environments. The first honorable mention is CompTIA's Network Plus. Network Plus is often considered a beginner networking certification. It's a great certification if you're completely new to networking and want to learn the basics before jumping into something like CCNA. It covers foundational networking concepts in a vendor-neutral way. However, if your goal is specifically networking, many people choose to go straight for the CCNA. I also recommend it. Another honorable mention is the Forint NSC certifications, specifically certifications like the NSC 5 that focus on network security analysis and Fortinet security platforms. Fortinet firewalls are used in many organizations, specifically environments that rely heavily on integrated security platforms. Understanding how these systems work can definitely add value to your skill set. Another great certification path to consider is the Palo Alto Networks firewall certifications. Palo Alto firewalls are extremely common in enterprise security environments. These are next-generation firewalls that go far beyond traditional firewall filtering. They include features like application awareness, threat detection, advanced security policies, and deep visibility into network traffic. Understanding how to configure and manage next-generation firewalls is an extremely valuable skill. And finally, let's talk about cloud certifications. When it comes to cloud, my recommendation is actually pretty simple. A cloud certification or a specific cloud vendor of your choice. Thank you. You could choose AWS, you could choose Microsoft Azure, you could also choose Google Cloud. The specific provider you choose isn't nearly as important as understanding how networking works inside cloud environments. Cloud networking introduces concepts like virtual networks, subnets inside cloud infrastructure, security groups, routing tables, load balancing, VPN connectivity between on-prem networks and the cloud, and hybrid architectures. These concepts are becoming more and more important as companies continue moving infrastructure into the cloud. And I want to be honest with you here, I personally don't have a cloud certification yet, but it's something I'm actively working on because cloud networking is becoming a very important part of the industry. So if I had to summarize the certifications I would recommend for someone to get into networking, the list would go something like this: the CCNA, the JNCIA-Junos, the CWNA, the Security Plus, and a cloud certification of your choice. Together, these certifications give you more exposure to routing, switching, wireless networking, security, and multi-vendor environments and cloud networking. And when you combine that knowledge with hands-on labs, practice environments, and real-world troubleshooting experience, you start to develop the skills that recruiters are actually looking for. Networking is a fantastic career path. It's technical, it's challenging, and it also gives you the opportunity to work on the infrastructure that powers the modern world. If you're just getting started, focus on building a strong foundation, stay consistent with your learning, and most importantly, spend time practicing what you're studying. Hopefully this video helped give you the direction that you needed if you're trying to figure out where to start with networking certifications. If you're currently studying for any of these certifications, let me know down in the comments what you're working on. And if you found this video helpful, please be sure to like and subscribe for more content about networking, IT careers, and the tech industry. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Understanding how wireless works gives you an edge because many engineers never take the time to learn the RF side of networking. Understanding how wireless networks give you okay, stop right here because I'm messing up a lot. Oh my god, and I feel bad because this is gonna be terrible for you to fucking edit, bro, but I'm paying you. Hey, I'll pay you. Understanding how wireless networks give you an edge because many engineers understanding how wireless networks work. Okay. Understanding how wireless networks operate give you an edge because many engineers never take the time to understand or learn the RF side of networking. When something goes wrong with the Wi-Fi, troubleshooting often requires a lot. When something goes wrong with Wi-Fi, troubleshooting and in many government and defense related roles, Security Plus is actually required for compliance and purpose. Oh my god. It's technical, it's challenging, and it gives you the opportunity to work with